This episode is brought to you by Netflix. This Monday night, witness the end of an era. John Cena takes center stage for his final appearance ever on Monday Night Raw. One last match, one unforgettable farewell. Come celebrate the legacy of a true WWE legend. Monday Night Raw, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, only on Netflix. Be there for the moment everyone will be talking about.
Hey friends, this is Audie Cornish, host of CNN This Morning and The Assignment, and guess what? Every story you care about, every angle you want unpacked is now streaming on CNN. That means you can catch my show or other CNN programming whenever you want on your favorite device. And a subscription also gets you access to exclusive video series and unlimited articles. So subscribe to CNN at cnn.com/subscription.
Welcome to the Sportsman's Voice Roundup, your weekly look at conservation and sporting community news happening across the nation and on the Hill. Thanks for tuning in. This is the TSV Roundup. Welcome back, friends, to this edition of the Sportsman's Voice Roundup, your weekly look at conservation news from across the nation for the week of November 10th, 2026. This week's brought to you by Bass Pro Shops, Richard Childress Racing, and International Order of Teddy Roosevelt. Thank you all for your continued support of the program. I'd like to say a shout out to my fellow brothers and sisters in arms, those who came before me, came before us, currently serving, and those yet to come. It's a great honor. Veterans Day on Tuesday. Hope all of you enjoyed the time. Look back fondly on your time in service, your current time in, and appreciate what you're doing for our country. And young folks considering joining up, or even some middle-aged folks wanting to give back to their country. But wherever you're at in your military experience, big salute to you, and honored to serve with those. I had the pleasure of doing so quite many years ago at this point. So this week, your host here, well, I'm on vacation. In the deer woods, the New Hampshire rut is off. So this will be probably a faster version of the weekly roundup. So let's get into it. This week, we're bringing to you stories from California, specifically Assembly Bill 1127, the backdoor striker-fired handgun ban. A quick recap of the Gulf Council voting to permanently implement Descent Act measures. We've covered that in the past. A heads up for the Mid-Atlantic states and kind of a general, everybody pay attention to your local regs as you're heading into your hunting seasons. And we touch on the Medhaden rule that we had a press release out here earlier, and a final public service announcement about CWD in your area. So without further ado, let us get into the week's top story. And before we do, I want to remind you, NASC is coming up, the NASC Summit, Memphis, Tennessee, not very far away here in December, under a month to go. So for the listening audience, have a special promo for you. If you yet to sign up, if you're coming and joining us, I got 10% off the registration fee. Use the promo code Birdman, BIRDMAN. Again, the promo code BIRDMAN at checkout. For this podcast listening audience only, get 10% off your registration. We hope to see you there. Now, back to our stories here. This is covering the, as we've heard here recently, the Glock ban. Essentially, what has happened here is last session, California passed the Assembly Bill 1127 that governor there signed into law in October. The bill reclassifies many types of striker-fired handguns as, quote, machine gun convertible pistols, thus outlawing their sale due to existing state law on the basis that they can be illegally modified to be fully automatic. Obviously, CSF continues to strengthen bipartisan legislative sportsmen's caucus, providing a forum for lawmakers to engage in complex firearm and sportsman policy matters. This bill, this law, this Glock ban is set to take effect July 1st of 2026. In recent years, California has passed a myriad of anti-firearm legislation while remaining one of the largest firearm markets in the country. Recognizing this, it is important to understand the full breadth of the consequences associated with firearm legislation, not the least of which is the impacts that such legislation can have on conservation funding through the American System of Conservation Funding. In addition to the conservation funding challenges associated with AB 1127, this law sets a dangerous precedent by banning other sporting goods. The bill language outlines that pistols, quote, readily converted by hand. You'd say you're continually surprised, but it's California at this point, and I personally don't remain unsurprised by the level of ignorance, foolishness, and virtue signaling that comes out of that state. And it's really too bad because it's a great sporting state. There's so much beauty. There's so many great resources. There's so much opportunity to be had, and their leadership out there just continues to punch away and really abuse the sporting and conservation community. And there's a complete lack of understanding, or just don't care how it all works out. Um, how those beautiful resources and places are maintained through that American System of Conservation Funding. As I often remark and joke about New York, New York's going to New York, California's going to California, and it's comes back to that underlying theme with a lot of this stuff. If you're not involved in keeping up with the current issues, and then you don't get involved in your local elections, this stuff keeps coming up and keeps getting worse, and it's junk after junk after junk stacking on top of each other, so that those small cuts chipping away and eroding, death by 1,000 cuts. That's where you're going, and California and states like it doesn't get better unless you change it. So, good luck to you out there. As I often say, I hope folks get involved, and and quite frankly, that governor needs to go because he is no friend to the sporting community, and continues to champion just awful, awful policy. Let's go on to some better news here. Golf Council votes to permanently implement Descend Act measures. This is from Chris Horton. The use of descending devices and venting tools has been shown to significantly reduce post release mortality of deep caught fish. In early January of 2021, President Trump signed the Descend Act that directed NOAA to implement descending and venting tool requirements for reef fisheries in the Gulf of America, though there was a 5-year sunset on the legislation. With the clock ticking and the requirement set to expire early in 2026, the Gulf Council took final action at last week's meeting to make these important reef fish conservation measures permanent. Uh, yeah, again, going back to conversations with Chris Horton, who's covered this on this program quite a bit. Essentially, for the non-fishing part of the audience, when you pull a fish up from the deep, it pretty much just makes their swim bladders what keeps them buoyant and able to regulate where they are in the water column based on their needs for survivability. When they come up, it comes out their mouth. That buoyancy, that gas bubble bag comes out, and it can't go back down. So that's got to be relieved somehow, so that those fish can get back down to the levels deep where they need to be to survive. And in this case, this act being extended puts that rule into place, making sure that folks out there are utilizing those devices, those venting tools, to get those critters, those fish back down to where they are and continue to have a healthy fishery. Anecdotally here, I'll just point out that Chris points out barotrauma. This is a condition that occurs when a fish is rapidly ascended from the deep water. That's the scientific name of what I just described. The gases in the fish's swim bladder and organs expand when going from the higher pressure deep water to the lower pressure surface water. Even if released immediately, fish may not be able to overcome the buoyant forces of the expanded gases and swim back down, making them easy prey for predators. An effective solution is the use of descending and venting tools. So, following the implementation of the Descent Act requirements in 2022, the Return 'em Right program launched a widespread effort to educate anglers on the importance of descending devices and how to use them, while also distributing free descending devices to those who took the online education course. Since that time, more than 47,000 anglers, 97% of which were private recreational anglers, have participated in the Return 'em Right program and received descending devices. So look, I mean, they're footing the bill. That's a good program there to help that work out. The amendment to make the use of descending devices or venting tools permanent will now go to the Secretary of Commerce for consideration and final implementation. By decreasing the number of reef fish that die after release, the use of these devices should lead to more fish to catch and healthier fisheries down the road. All right. Yeah, that's good. Need to have it. Quick public service announcement from the Mid-Atlantic states that is applicable to everybody listening going afield is to make sure you're checking your state's hunting regulations before you head afield. Of note, out of the Mid-Atlantic, currently Maryland is the only state in the Mid-Atlantic region that does not have a nearly full repeal of Sunday hunting prohibitions. So you want to check on that. And then obviously, so many of you in Pennsylvania, I've been seeing it on social, are taking advantage of your freedom, your full freedom on the weekend to hunt on Sunday. So that is obviously one that's celebrated. But this goes without saying. Don't take for granted what's always been the same for all the years you've been out and about. Do check because there are new rules every year in every state, and you just do not want to get caught short. Oftentimes a lot of the conservation officers, warden, whatever they're called in your state, they have a pretty good philosophy in educating the public versus just hammering people and hitting them with citations. That's not true for all, and just acknowledging that. It's our responsibility to make sure we know ignorance doesn't make you exempt, and help yourself. Have a good conversation with the CEOs when you're out there. They don't really want to hook anybody up. They're out there to make sure um, everyone's doing right and having a good time and enjoying the resources, but also that comes with responsibility. So bone up on them. Check out what's going on. Be legal while you're out there. As reported last week, the Menhaden issue advanced to reduce their harvest buffer, and essentially what you had was moving out the commercial fishery of Menhaden because of the damage it was doing close to shore. Those nursery fisheries and just the infrastructure there. Uh, Last year, the buffer zone was expanded to half mile upon compromise by the recreational fishing community to back off a 1 mile buffer, as well as the commercial Menhaden industry agreeing to a larger buffer zone than a quarter mile. On November 6th, the commission voted 4-3 to amend the buffer zone back to a quarter mile at the behest of the commercial Menhaden industry, despite public outcry from the recreational fishing community as well as numerous conservation NGOs. Prior to the vote on November 6th, CSF signed on to a letter alongside 10 other partners urging the commission to vote no on reducing the commercial Menhaden buffer zone. Louisiana Legislative Sportsman's Caucus members Representative Joe Orgeron and Senator Big Mike Fezzi attended the meeting and spoke in opposition to reducing the buffer. CSF will continue to work alongside our in-state national conservation partners and Louisiana agency there and the Louisiana Legislative Sportsman's Caucus to ensure sustainable fisheries off Louisiana coasts and the plentiful recreational fishing opportunities that it provides are maintained. Another public service announcement as we wrap up the show here, coming to you out of the Great Plains states. This from Jake Gould, just reminding folks 35 states across the country, including the Great Plains region, have detected CWD. So if you're one of these states that has CWD, obviously there's a whole bunch of rules that come along with that. Especially states where we don't have CWD, bringing stuff in, it's got to be deboned. Most of these states, there's all sorts of regs you got to keep up on. But for the states that have it, Those state agencies are not requiring, they are requesting that and recommending that you have your deer tested for CWD. Examples here: Nebraska Game and Parks are providing hunters with a CWD testing zone. Two options to test their deer at an in-person check station or a free mail-in sampling kit. North Dakota is encouraging hunters from the northwest portion of the state to bring their deer to game and fish offices, deer head collection sites, or using a self-sampling kit to test for CWD. A topic of great stress, controversy, coming down to, can you eat CWD deer? There are those that recommend you don't. There are those that have said, well, nothing is really proved that any of that transmits to human beings. I guess it's a personal call, but there you have it. If you're able to get them tested, probably should, gives the state agencies and biologists a better picture of what's on the ground, what's happening, and what's happening with the herd. So, all right, told you an abbreviated edition of the show on a shortened week. Tune in tomorrow, feature presentation, catching up with Tom Opry. You've heard him here before. We've had him in the past. He's got a great new film, The Real Yellowstone. It's a thinker. We'll get into many topics there. Tease that out, and then letting you know there will be a part 2. We just we couldn't cover it all in a short setting. Tom will be joining us at NASC, so if you're coming, look forward to that. We'll have another movie night. 2 features here. We've talked about the Rigs to Reef feature, and then this feature with Tom and The Real Yellowstone. Essentially what you have here is, well, I'll let you tune in tomorrow. That's the tease. I'm not gonna tell you anything about it. It's a good one. Tom's always great. Fascinating stuff, real critical thinking. It'll get you thinking, and I don't think you necessarily come away with a whole lot of answers other than maybe asking more questions, and I think that's what we should. Conservation, use of public lands, in this case, ranching. It's not black and white. It's not clear cut. There's a lot of considerations, and anyway, you tune in, listen to that. We start getting into it, and then I can tell you a part 2 will come post NASC, where Tom and I will be able to sit down for a much longer session and really get into some of these deeper issues and really just kind of mind map some of this stuff out. But at any rate, tune in tomorrow for that, and we'll see you guys next week for our standard Roundup no feature. If you're out there in the woods, get home safe. Make sure you're wearing your tree harness. If you're up in a tree, I got a story for you later, and we'll call it toward the end of the season, but a cautionary tale. Make sure you got your harnesses on. Get home safely to your family. Fill those tags. Shoot straight. Hope you all are having fun out there. We'll do it all again next week. As always, CSF is your inside connection for outdoor legislation. We'll see you. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, your support is crucial, and you can help us out right now by leaving a review, filling in those 5 stars where available, sharing this episode with friends and family, and engaging with us socially. CSF can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Together, we can protect the outdoor sports we love and continue to keep you informed wherever you are. That's it for this week. Until next time, we'll see you later.
A message from McAfee. Wondering why the post office is texting you, or why you owe thousands of dollars in toll fees? Because someone's trying to scam you. The good news? McAfee can help. With McAfee's award-winning scam detection, it's easy to tell what's real and what's fake over text, in your inbox, and online. If they're
You want a free gift?
Seriously? If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.